Hello, welcome to our midweek reflections, our first one. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. I'm excited to share this time with you. So as we go into our first reflection, before we go into it, actually, I wanted to at least frame the way that we're going to be doing it, at least from now until we change it. So how I want to do what we're doing here right now is being careful because right now this is a public arena and I get that. And I understand some of the hesitation that comes along with doing this in a place where all of our thoughts and all of our words are kind of exposed to whoever may be reading it. And I think that there is some hesitation that goes along with that. But at the same time, I want us to be coming into this time with an open heart, with a desire to share with one another the experiences of our lives and the ways that God has been working within our lives. So when we talk about our midweek reflections, I want it to be a time where we're able to fellowship with one another, where we're able to have community with one another, and really be able to just do life together. Even in this moment, even if we're doing it in this arena where it's online or where a lot of people may see it. Even here, be able to express some of the things that God is doing. And we'll get into that just a little bit in our reflections time. But beyond that also, I want to, because this is kind of like this Facebook arena, I do want to be careful about certain things at the very least. And that really has to do with our communication and the ways that we communicate the things that God is saying to us. Because this is a place where we can easily go down a path that is vicious or could be detrimental to the listener, I want us to be careful that when we do or say anything or write anything, that we really do it from a place of humility. And I want us to really think about that. Because when we have something that God is convicting us about, when God is really pressing it upon our hearts, that is a good place to start because it's in those places of conviction that we are focused on God and focused on ourselves and how we need God in our life, right? And that's a place of humility. When we share that with another person, let's always do that from a place of humility as well. That we don't go into sharing something and pushing something on someone else simply because we feel like we're right, but we do it because we feel that this is something that God has convicted us about and that we want to present it to someone else and let them be able to hear what God is doing. So I want us to be able to be sure about that first and foremost. And two, that we be very just open. We as much as we can, that we share the things that God is doing and that we be open to it, open to the ways that God may be working, even in this place, even in this arena, and allow God to work here. All right, so I hope that that's the way that we're going to be communicating here, and from now until whenever we do change it, maybe we change this whole arena, who knows? But at least for right now, let's do it that way. So our first question for today, and the things that I want to engage within and bring our minds focused on is something that we've been kind of going through in our sermons on Sunday with Pastor Ryan, and talking about the ways, the rainbows of God in your life. It's kind of related to that, but I wanted to dig in just a little bit into the nuance of it. And I guess I want to talk about the first question is, when is God showing up in your life? When is God showing up in your life? And the reason I ask the when is because I don't know. I just feel like, spontaneously allowing God to speak into our lives is important. And that is one of the ways that God does speak. But I think it's very important that we are thinking about, very intentionally that moment that we set aside for God to speak into our life, right? That we set it aside within our day, within whatever it may be, our week. And that we say, this is the moment that I am going to spend with God intentionally. Because it's not just simply when God just kind of pops up in our life, but it's also when we are really coming before God and saying, this is my time with God, and this is important, and this is when God is going to be speaking into my life. But I think there's another follow-up question that goes into it is, how then does God show up in your life? Because it's not only good enough to be intentional and thinking about how God shows up in our life and being like making that place and that time for it, but it's also about how it kind of comes out. How does it bubble out into your life? What does it look like when it comes out? And that goes into not only what we do here in these midweek messages, but also in your life within your families, within your communities or your work or wherever it may be. How does that conviction, those things that God is placing into your heart, how does that show up in your life? What does that look like? And I hope that when we do these reflections, and I hope when we do our life together, that we're able to share that with one another. Share the love, share the time of listening, share the ways that we can care for one another. And we do this all within Scripture. We do all this within a prayerful heart. And we do this with a desire to love each other as Christ has loved us. And that's my hope. I hope that, during these times that we have and within your life, that we'd be able to bring that together here. Bring that together here and be able to share that with one another. So let's take some time right now. Let's do that. Let's share with one another the ways that God has been showing up in your life. If you've been having those convictions of maybe you need to spend some more time intentionally allowing God to speak, maybe that's something that you want to share. Whatever it may be, let's spend some time and let's just talk to one another and share life with one another.